Just take one hit. Don't you want to be cool?
Gather round everyone. The show's about to begin.
Turn on, tune in, drop out, this show's amazing. It's Super Lemon Haze, you know them boys always blazing. Put one in the air, fill your glass and get to raising. Kirkman praising, school flag waving. Chopping up the topics as they're choking on some chronic. Scott and Eric breaking it down like 21st century prophets. Eyes glazed and minds dazed, it's knowledge they convey. Roll up and consume the Super Lemon Haze.
Super Lemon Haze.
Going to ask you several questions.
Super Lemon Haze.
How do you feel?
I feel like a slice of butter melting on top of a big old pile of flapjacks. Yeah.
Super Lemon Haze.
Super Lemon
I
Haze.
think I got some color. I can see my red forehead in this thing now. That's what happens when you're baking out in the front lawn with all the neighbors for half the afternoon.
Suburban life, man. Suburban life.
Trying to answer work emails in the middle of it, running in and out.
I feel like we had a little bit of a breakup.
I'm back.
You're back.
We didn't have a breakup.
No.
I think, well, I guess we'll just get right into this. I have no issue with Chief or his wife and their product. I think great folks it was a good interview for what it was worth. I just didn't agree with the timing of bringing him in, given where we were at with that little journey. And I also
So what do you mean by that? So the timing and the journey. So where you think I was just jumping way ahead?
So I think we kind of go very, very liberal, very social with Mike and the Young Jerks, which was great and gave a nice perspective there. And you talked about the balance, which was good. And then we kind of go more to the corporate side and had an interesting volley, and one guy doesn't want to hear whatever happens, and the other guy's okay, and we talk through all that, and then you meet Chief through them.
Well, not really. The way that Chief thing happened, and this may or may not have been the reason why I think you were somewhat turned off, but there was the interview with Keith, and then it was the whole Black Lives Matter video that they posted that I thought was pretty decent, and Tom seemed to appreciate it. In terms of, who was producing it, and it wasn't just like, it was meaningful. And then it was Dan Adams from the Boston Globe that immediately called them racist for putting it up there.
And we'll get to that in a second too. I'm more starting with the technical kind of, I think, the balance to what you're doing, which I think is amazing, and I want to give to that first.
I was just trying to explain to you how Chief got involved in this, because it wasn't through either any of those other channels.
So Chief got involved only through your race baiting.
Yes. No. Hold on.
Not you race baiting. You calling the race baiter over there. Yeah,
exactly. I called Dan Adams out for what I thought. Exactly. Yeah. No, it was.
To be clear, you were not race baiting.
No,
you were very good.
No, it was I think it was the intensity that I was firing away at Dan.
Right.
And I think that's where Chief caught on.
Got it. Okay. So however his relationship plays out, whatever's going on with him, and I think there's more to ask about the last few years for him and his company and his wife and all that whole setup. I think there's a few more questions asked just about what their journey was and how that all goes down. I would say that we needed a little bit more balance to the podcast on that one. And again, you've earned the right to go on your tangent and do what you want to do and go further. But first of all, for me, I'm a weed doctor. And I'm here to kind of talk about weed and that side of things. So I'm
not about what's going to cure the.
I mean, I can only go so far.
The racial,
and honestly, I do think it's more systemic. I think there's bigger issues at play, and there is a piece of me, and we can talk about this. We can unpack this later too. But there is a piece of me that just felt like, overall, we're talking about a wider problem. and
Yeah.
we're really just focusing it into the cannabis industry.
Yeah, I mean,
which
I think,
and at that point, it was a little bit, to me, all honestly, too, it was a little bit tone deaf. And when you said I think you said I was like nervous. I wasn't nervous. I just didn't think, number one, I think we needed to balance the argument about what was going on in the industry to begin with. And I
Mhm.
don't think Chief was, again, I thought it was a great interview and I thought you did a good job with it, but I
Thanks.
just didn't think the timing of it. I think I would have wanted
Yeah.
to wait a couple weeks, put him in a pocket, and then talk to him. And I
Yeah.
actually kind of think he serves like a great purpose if he's interested working with us. Like I would love to like keep talking to him on a recurring basis. I
Yeah.
think he gives he serves a big purpose, like a
I
big
agree with you.
voice, and we should magnify his voice.
Yeah.
But
No,
I thought
yeah.
the timing of it all was bad.
Yeah.
And then I thought I thought it was just tone deaf given everything, but that's just
Yeah.
my personal opinion. And then just last thing, and then I'll shut up.
Yeah.
Because I know you've got plenty to say.
No, I don't. I mean, I
the last
actually
piece
like
is-
and appreciate everything you're saying.
The piece that kind of nails it for me, unfortunately, is the and again, we can talk about how triggered she is or whatever, but insensitive. But the block from Shalene, I think that kind of puts the nail in the coffin. Like when you went with one side that she obviously likes and appreciates. There's nothing we can say that.
Mhm.
We went with another side that she may have had some tension with, but then we kind of took a side road on another EE client that's pissed. You know, and it's like, well, that's another shot against the mama bear, the power, or the big crew. And I think what we should have done is maybe take a pause and maybe talk to somebody, try to get somebody from that third party there, or not. But anyway, that was my thoughts about it all.
No, I think those are all very good, constructive thoughts. I think for me, sometimes I just can't help myself. You know, I think I was very. So what happened was I did that sort of campaign against that guy Dan, Chief, and like a half a dozen other people started texting me and DMing
you
me.
got some action for it, sure.
Yeah, and I think it almost like it awoke a population of people that have been heavily impacted by this disproportionate balance between the EE applicants and like the large corporate people that are the majority of them who are taking over the industry. And I think, it wasn't, I understand the whole tone deaf thing, because I think obviously, we were dealing with at the time something that was dramatic, difficult, and strong. And it didn't really, it just happened that bled into what I was doing. You know what I mean? It wasn't, I didn't think of it as, oh, I'm going to bring someone on who's going to talk race, because right now the hottest topic in the world is race. Like it was more like I got so much action and feedback from A, the interview with Keith, and B, just sort of my campaign against, Dan Adams and him calling Rev clinics racist. I was just like, what am I going to do with this? And I guess that comes back to like my like immaturity in this industry, and then when I say in this industry, like this whole podcast, like producing, putting shit together, putting sound out there in the world, like this is all new to me, and I realize that sometimes I'm getting way ahead of myself. I think the blocking from Shalene I was really upset about that. I didn't anticipate that, someone who was upset and still is, and who named Shalene on our podcast, I didn't realize that was going to sort of set something off. And I think that, again, like
I just think there's probably more history there than we know, either of us know about. Right?
I agree.
And
I could tell just from the sense and the emotion that he
just came right on in, stirring the pot.
I don't stir. See, that's the thing. And I guess the young jerks got upset with that too. I'm not here to stir.
Right. But
I don't stir, but I do
you kind of did, because of your intensity and your drive to sort of figure things out and kind of mash people up and get people talking.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that's my thing, is that like, I think we're really up against time. And I think almost, Chief mentioned this, but like, he doesn't want to look back in 2 or 3 years. And he said this about some of even his friends and people that he also knows who are trying to open up business this year. He doesn't want to look back in 2 or 3 years and say, shit, we fucking lost this. Like the industry is over. We're not getting back into this at all. So I guess I got caught into that energy.
Well, let me ask you this, because I don't know. And now this is getting, to the point where I'm, I have not done enough research at all. And I'm not sure if you have or what you got for this, but who are, some of the other EE applicants or runners, so to speak, that are in the good graces of the CCC and who are, you know, legit candidates or folks that are, or groups that are going to be players in this space. Do we know that? And can we talk to them? I think that would probably, you know, get us back to some balance.
Yeah, no, I definitely think that there's a similar to the program that Chief and his wife went through, the accelerator program at Sierra Naturals.
Yeah.
There's something similar that the Cannabis Control Commission is running. And I think they went through like their first cohort back maybe last year. And I think they're just now enrolling the new cohort. And I believe there's a couple people in that program who are now on the verge or on the edge of starting, you know, their business. So I think it would be interesting to kind of, you know, learn their perspective as well. And again, just bringing you back to the Chief discussion, because he brought up, because of the difficulties in getting some of these people, the E people, the SE people into the business, he's saying that there's a way around it. And that's where I guess, you know, his communications to me were just like, he hit all the hot buttons for me. He's like, shit's going down. I've got information I want to tell you. Right. Obviously that was attractive to me. And then he also said, I have a product, it's commercial, and I'm trying to get into the industry and work around this whole license thing, like the license thing, and the applications with the cities and the towns that they have to go in. Like those are the ones that are like, those are the things that are just holding this whole thing back. I mean, like the licenses, sometimes it takes years and years and years getting the community agreements in line and those contracts lined up and the real estate lined up. I mean, all of these things are barriers. And so the reason why, I mean, Chief was like, he's like, dude, you know, there's a way around this. And so like all these like things like just sort of, you know, I'm like, fuck, I want to get him on. And that's where it came. So yeah. So
given that there was that block from Shalene, I'm wondering, and again, now that I go back and I look at a couple of things and I just, you know, I remember just trying to get back to like my timing of things.
Yeah.
Like I would ask Chief too, and, you know, to talk to him next time or whatever, have him come on. But yeah, I would ask like, okay, so you were in the accelerator program. You were one of 3 folks in the accelerator program, and I think there was like 400 applicants. So I mean, and again, obviously the guy's a stud. I mean, they have a great setup. I mean, it sounds like a nice little business, but you know, they promoted that business. It was on the news. It was on a bunch of trade shows. There was press releases. Sierra did a pretty good job of putting up a video of them on their website. Like, and here we are, you know, over a year, 18 months later or whatever, you know, where's your money for that? Like, is there, you know, if that was if that was as great of a product as we're all saying it is, I don't know. I haven't seen the sale, so I'm not 100% sure of any of this, but it seems like it's a bit of a niche product. Yeah. It's cool. But then I also look at like, I don't know, like just, you know, if you're thinking about just practicalities, like, and honestly, like, sorry, not to be a dick, but like, what's a bottle of KY? Like $6.99 for lube? Like, okay. And again, it doesn't have all the benefits of that, but is that what you're going after when you're going to a dispensary? I'm not really sure. Yeah. I mean, the last thing real quick, the last thing that really got me was I did start looking at, and there's a lot on the market. There's CBD lubes and then there's THC lubes, which obviously the THC is going to have, you know, some more sensitivity and effects and things like that, I'm guessing. But when you look at the pricing from their product compared to some of the other ones, and again, those products aren't available necessarily in Massachusetts, but when you start looking at just branding and like milliliters per price or whatever, their stuff's expensive too. So I would wonder, you know, did this product really take off like they thought it would? Was it was it effective? Was it moving as much? That's a whole other story, you know. So
I wanted to say, and I wasn't sure if anyone who's listening saw this, but so I have no idea what their marketing plan is. I didn't know anything about their product. You did. I had no idea anything about their product until Chief told me about it. I don't even know who their clientele would be or who they're trying, or the demographics they're trying to sell this product to. But all I saw and felt from him was like energy, and I loved that part of the interview with him and his wife going crazy.
He talked about it better than I do. It changes life about how people are, able to reestablish their relationships. You know, it's hot over here, man. Yeah, it's another way to introduce the benefits of cannabis to people, even who don't smoke. It's absolutely amazing sex, a stronger, faster, easier orgasms. You're quicker to them.
The best orgasms that you will ever have in your flipping life, applied vaginally or rectally. It's not a pump.
You got me sold.
I'm just telling you, that's my baby.
And the best thing that came out of that for me, and maybe even for Chief, was that Tom, who is a big fan, he's not a friend. Like Mike Crawford thinks like we're friends with these people. Like we're friendly with them because we respect them. We respect what they do. They came on the show. We had a great conversation.
Yeah. Just like Mike, they had the balls to come on and talk about something. That
well, this is not a scary. You don't need balls to come on this show.
No, but they have it. But they have the balls to engage in conversation.
True.
And they would do it not with us. They do it with anybody in a proper forum, so to speak, to do it.
Well, Mike denied meeting with Rev Clinics on our show. Did you know that?
I did not.
No. So, well, let me finish the story before this one.
We'll go back to that in a second.
So, because of the interview we had last week with Chief and his energy with his wife regarding their product,
Sure.
Tom, who is a fan of ours, watched that show
right.
and was in the midst of thinking about whether or not that product made sense on their shelves. And that interview that we had, or that time that we had together on the show, pushed him over the edge. And now, and I'm not sure if it's official yet, and I was DMing with both of the parties, with Chief and with Rev Clinics and with Tom. Once that thing gets on their shelves, I want to know about it, because then I know for sure, like we're having somewhat of an impact here in the short time that we've done it, because we're building relationships and we're setting people up.
Yeah.
And then I think Tom, the reason why I love and appreciate that relationship, is because Tom's a marketing genius, right? Tom's a guy who has a lot of success, and I'm wondering how well. I have no idea how well it did in the past, but I know for sure, because Keith and Tom are smart enough. They're not going to bring in a product just because it's just another thing to put on their shelves, right? I mean, they're smart people. They're smart marketers. They're smart. Or
not because the Hayes podcast necessarily said it was amazing either. And that would be the question I would ask those guys too, is what did they think of, this was at all the trade shows and all the presentations they were at last year as well.
Yeah.
This was on the fucking news. I mean, I can pull up a fucking news clip right now on NBC talking about, at the time, I think they were 610 Studios, but it was the same thing. It was Purion, and it was it being in the accelerator program with local Sierra Naturals. It's right on there. So Tom, where were you last year when that was going on?
Yeah, but again, I think as a business perspective, from thinking from him, like they were just going through starting last fall, they were going through the whole Cambridge situation. So they were trying to go recreational, and I think that's that.
But it was a product. They had a product.
Yeah, but
they had their lube out there.
Yeah, but I guess
a bunch of stores put it on.
Yeah,
Tom seemed to have, Rev Clinic seemed to have missed the boat on that. I don't know. That's
but again,
that's just me being a skeptical jerk, by the way.
Sure.
And again, I'm also, by the way, all about the fact that we may have made a connection here. I think that's great.
Yeah,
that's great.
I think what I'm saying, I can't speak for Tom.
Connection, amazing connection.
What I'm trying to say, I can't speak for Tom, but I guess what I'm trying to say is I think Tom is talented enough to maybe take Purion and maybe make it something that could move product off of his shelves.
I think it has a place. I think it has a place.
I don't know anything about their numbers and whether or not if it's profitable at all, but I can say that you can tell from Lee, his wife's expression at the end when she was talking about it. She said, "It's my baby."
I'm just telling you, that's my baby.
So
she's the best salesperson.
That's what
endorsement of
exactly. And I said that, and actually, I think actually was her moment on the camera that pushed Tom over the edge. So maybe Tom will have a chance to use Lee in any capacity to try to see if it helps. I have no idea. Again, luckily we don't have a problem with lubrication in this family. We're okay there. So, but I'm actually interested in trying the product no matter what.
And you've already promised, Chief, that you'd be doing
I am. So next time
I watched the show. So you're in on it.
Had I not gone to the
by the way, I wish that not that they need to hear it from me or give a shit about my skeptical ass, but I would just, again, providing some balance to the conversation. Those are the questions that I would ask. But in all of this, I say with, good blessings forward and awesome business deals and good tidings to everybody, of course, because I'm absolutely pro business for this industry.
But I like what you said about actually having Chief on as an ongoing thing. Like, again,
I'd like to just, I think he gives, at the end of the day, he gives the right perspective for balance that we need to hear and have. I don't, again, aside from where his status is with the CCC or what that
I don't know. I was definitely bummed out about the Shailene thing. I probably went a little bit too far. It probably wasn't even the episode. I think it was because I was pushing the episode. I really wanted people to hear it, and I think in the promo, Chief, I purposely put in, some dialogue that I thought was going to build some attention, some energy, and one of the things that he said was about Shailene and how he was like, a true like general or champion for her, and he got very disappointed. So I don't know, man. I guess I do take personal responsibility for that. I hope that channel opens up again. I don't like the fact.
I mean, it's still good things to talk about. It's still good content. It's not the end. I mean, it certainly isn't the end of the world.
Yeah, blocking someone on the internet. I mean, it's not the end of the fucking world.
Right. And again, I do think we're a bit of in a sensitive. There's a sensitivity is at a pretty big high right now. So it's a little tricky. Also, I think that unfortunately, Twitter is really kind of the lowest form of communication. It's an effective tool, and it's definitely great entertainment, and it's a great way to get a quick message across. It can be powerful for social movements, all of these sorts of things, but it's also the absolute. It's about it's about a step.
It's tone deaf.
The only thing that's on the same level, it's texting and Twitter are about as bad as it gets. As far as just the evolution of communication, or the scale of evolution on communication, it's tough. Same reason why I don't think you and I had a chance, why I just was kind of like, hey, I'm going to pass this week, because we had busy shit going on. We had a couple different things happening this week. That week we didn't have a chance to really just talk about what our show plan was going to be or what we were going to do.
So let me ask you then, because
we were just kind of texting.
So we have a number of people who want to jump on, and a lot of them have really interesting content to share, but it's a lot all over the map. There are people that completely support the Cannabis Control Commission and are in favor of continuing to push those policies. And then there's obviously the flip side, even more extreme than if you consider like the Chief interview somewhat extreme. There's people who are so upset that they've developed a whole business around ripping and burning down the structure that's currently in place, and they want to completely rebuild, which is obviously somewhat impossible now. You can't completely go back in time. I mean, we're moving forward no matter what, and the question is, what direction can we move forward, and how quickly can we pivot if we're going in a direction that a lot of people are getting hurt by? And again, I'm speaking specifically about that population who when they started building programs, when cannabis was voted on for legalization for the medical, at least, these it was supposed that the licensees and the business were supposed to be owned and operated initially, or at least at first, by the people who were most harmed by the war on drugs. And those are like the EE and the SE applicants. So those guys were front in line, waiting, doing all the right things, filling out all the right forms, taking all the right steps, and then just whatever happened, people were just jumping the line. And the majority of the people that were jumping the line were these like really large, really rich companies who just, unfortunately, they were not unfortunately, but, they were owned by white people. So that was, so then it was sort of, it created this tension that wasn't just about you said this was for us, now you're giving it to them. But then it also created like this racial divide.
And money always talks.
It always comes back to money, and I always said that.
That's the problem. It comes back to money.
Yeah.
So now we're in this systemic problem again.
Right.
And again, I don't mean to blow it off or act like it's not there, or use my privilege to make it less of a problem for me. In my personal life, I do what I do to work on that stuff. But at the end of the day, I think the other issue for me is, I come on here to have a good time and talk about a little bit of weed and get into a couple of topics. And I think,
so what do we do with those guys? What do we do with the people who are adamant about wanting to now get on a show? Because it seems like I said, some of these people have been silenced, right? Some of them won't even listen to them. Someone won't like these people aren't given a platform.
Yeah.
And the sort of feedback that I was getting was, you're so brave. you're so like that. What a great job you guys are doing. I can't believe you guys are having some of these people on,
and
like
we're going to help them give a mouthpiece and potentially, and they're
Yeah.
and they see they see the little bit of again, I know you don't want to say it too much, but they see the little bit of a storm that you can create on Twitter, which is great. And again, this is all good. These are good things. These are your production ability, your ability to get these guests.
I call
your
myself
ability to
I'm
create the
an effective
buzz.
communicator.
Yeah.
I know how to. As I say, it always comes back to the same thing. I know how to get
Gotta
people's
stare, right.
I
You
know how to
gotta
get people's attention.
right.
I know how to do it. I can.
So and that's awesome. And that's awesome.
So what do we do? What do we do with all the people that want to come on the show? Do we put them on hold like you're saying, and then just kind of try to develop
So my thought
like a
is-
syllabus or a curriculum? Like where are we going with this?
Well, I don't know that we need a syllabus or a curriculum, but because that sounds kind of dorky, also. But
We
what
are
I
dorks.
what I do think we should do is I think we need to get a little bit more of segments, because while policy stuff is great, I think if you continue to get so intense, while this is interesting to you, I think you're going to seriously affect potentially a lot of these folks that are somewhat interested in what we're talking about. And you're also potentially going to lose a lot of interest on a bunch of stoners that just don't have the goddamn attention span. And that's probably a lot like me, a lot of folks like me as
Yeah.
well. I think there's what I'm saying is I think
Right.
we need to achieve a little bit of balance.
Yeah.
A little bit of balance more. I don't think that for a second that we shouldn't not talk to these people.
Yeah.
I just think that we need to, one, put some boundaries around some of the conversations, or
What boundaries? Like what?
around timing, really.
Oh, I see.
So maybe a 20 minute interview,
Mhm.
because I think that we need to have I think that we need to have some segments and some other pieces of conversation where we're just kind of doing our thing.
Yeah.
Because I know that you've gotten great feedback about some of the stuff.
Yeah.
And your and the waves that you've created and the questions that you've asked and the interviews that we've had. But I also know that we have a bunch of mutts sending us fucking pictures of buds and asking us about vape.
Actually, that was,
vape ethanol and shit like that.
Did you see that I posted a picture of your little baby?
I did just before I came over here. That was a great catch. Yeah.
We and on Instagram is still at Hayes Podcast, same exact name as the for Twitter. One of our fans gave you some instruction. He said something about like nipping the.
Oh, already? I didn't even look at the thread yet. That's awesome.
Yeah. No, I have. I've never grown marijuana.
He's probably going
before.
to tell me to nip the lower ones that were like turning yellow, that are kind of turning yellow. Should I get rid of those? Probably to get the power to the bud, or the energy of the plant to the bud.
So you're smart, because that's basically what he said.
Yeah. Okay.
All he said was pluck that top node. It will cause the lowers to branch out.
Got it. Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's all going to the top little. There's a little bud in the very top of it. So
Oh.
he's saying, I think I won't do anything because I don't want to freak anybody out. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think he's saying, yeah, get that top off, and then all the little shit on the bottom, everything
Oh.
branch out.
Okay. Well,
I'll get to that.
we've got
thread
some.
later
We've
for
got
sure.
some true
Good.
professionals.
Yeah, I will ask.
following
I
us,
am not a
so-
grower, so I'm only a doctor, not a grower. But yeah, so little great story. So that
So you're a little miracle.
seriously, it is, and I think that's great that you call it a little miracle.
Effective communicator.
Hold on, I gotta grab another beer real quick. Don't move. This is also nice when we don't have a fucking important ass guest sitting here. I can actually just stand up and get a beer for a sec.
Yeah. So Scott again is my next door neighbor. So from my porch, I can see over his fence, and that little guy is just sitting in the window all day. He's like waving to his uncle. He's like, "Hi, I'm still here." And it started off like this big, and now it's like almost a foot tall. The thing like sprouted like crazy.
It's getting there now. I mean, it's really with the. I mean, you have to remember this was the solstice, so
Oh.
it just hung out in the sun.
Yeah.
And the last few days have been. I mean, the last 10 days have been so warm.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's above 60 degrees, so it stays out. It's pretty much stayed out at night the last few nights too. Just
So tell us about the little miracle.
so
How did this happen?
This I have to thank, as always. I have to thank Sierra Naturals for this. I mean, hysterical.
Sierra?
So I mean, it really doesn't happen often, but every once in a while, you get you'll see a little white seed, like a really small white seed in these medical plants, and and they're like they're all however they're clones or whatever, right? From a these grow houses are so professional. Like there's no seeds in any of these things ever. But like, I mean, I've seen probably, I don't know, since 2016, I've seen maybe 8 seeds.
Mm-hmm.
and I've had 2 of them grow, and this was one of them. So, and my mother grew another one in Virginia, of all places. I gave 2 of them to my mom, and one of them grew in Virginia, and no wild. So I just had pictures.
Did it grow buds eventually? Did it flower? Or
Yeah,
was
it turned into like a 6-foot tall plant. She left it
wow.
on her deck, and she's in like southern Virginia, so she had like a good warm season, like
humidity.
maybe 2 years ago, and it did really well. It did really well.
Nice.
She didn't clone it, unfortunately. Old lady, she fucking chopped it down and killed it. I was
no!
She harvested the hell out of it and had a few ounces. It was great.
Oh, cool.
But anyway, so I bought I think it was, I do know it's Uptown Funk. I'm just trying to remember. I think it was from their little Nantucket Nugs line that they work with, little rebrand they have or whatever, little grow that they work with. And a little white seed pops out. Like, all right, whatever, fuck it. Threw it in a little seed container. I was actually doing vegetables with my daughter, and we had, you see all the tomato plants and everything.
So you got the tomatoes, the cucumbers.
Yeah, I'm doing the starters. I got, at the time I had carrots going too. They died on me, but yeah, carrots, tomatoes, bean plants, weed on the side. So I just was like, fuck it, we'll see what happens. And within a day, it was so fast too, which I'm like, this might be a little super plant. Like it popped up. It germinated in like a day. So fast. I remember like right away it had 2 little like top little leaves popping right out of it. So left it sitting in my office for like most of April and May, and then transported it to a big like 5-gallon bucket and put a shit ton of like fertilizer and good topsoil in there, and just kind of was like, all right, well, we'll see how she does. And then you see what.
Right. So we're not if the experiment is going to continue into the fall and the winter, right? We're going to keep this baby going.
I'll keep it alive. Yeah. I mean, and at some point, it'll be kind of an outdoor plant. I don't know. People are probably going to, I don't know shit about growing, but people are probably
DM us, let us know what we should
scream at us and scream at me. But my plan is I'll kind of like let it live outside for the summer. Yeah. In the fall, as the nights start getting cooler, like we gotta, once it's under 60 degrees at night, it's got to come back inside. And then at some point, I'll probably just, bring it down to my basement and foil a corner and put a light on it and keep it alive, I guess. But anyway, I'm sure somebody will tell me like it's gonna have to go back to like vegetation for fucking a couple of months or something. I don't know. But if I get 4 buds out of the fucking thing, I'll be psyched. Yeah, because whatever, I'm married to going to Sierra anyway, or Anita anyway.
So I put it on. I put the couple pictures out there because it was looking nice.
That's great. I know. I saw the picture as I was walking over here. I was like, oh, that's great. I didn't look at.
But it was like sort of like it was in that golden hour. So I was like, oh, this is good. It's got good lighting.
She's been grabbing a ton of rays out there on that porch.
Yeah. So great. I said, so we should probably start a contest of some sort and ask people to name it. So we'll keep that going.
The only thing I saw was Menners.
There was a Menners, yeah. One of the Minifans mentioned it.
And again, back to segments. I think that goes with that one, and I want to talk about. So I think the segment should be, what's going on social media. I think we still got to cover Kirk and that crazy fucking world.
Fucking Trouble in Paradise, man.
I mean, we still need to cover like at least 10 minutes a show to that.
Yeah,
and then I think we do an interview or the political or the topics of the industry.
Yeah. Should we hit on any of this stuff?
Yeah. Holy cow.
Trouble in Paradise, motherfuckers.
Holy shit.
I think it's all play.
Well, I mean, obviously the subscription piece, easy to see coming. Yeah, all of that piece. I do think it's turned into a play.
Yeah,
I think that Friday episode. I mean, I listened to it before it was cut. Yeah, and like removed by Barstool or whatever, and edited out there. And I caught it because I was driving up to Maine. Yeah, I happened to be driving to Maine Friday morning, so I was listening to. I had 3 hours, so I just listened to it on the way up, and I mean, it was brutal. Definitely vicious, and yeah, I mean, listen, if he did, act that out, so to speak, then give that man a fucking Emmy award because he's a stud. Then I mean, I do think I think it's been played up a bit, and I think we got hinted a little bit today about a subscription through Barstool, maybe too. Like he hinted it today a little bit.
Yeah. See, that's where like Kirk is super smart. Steve, I think, is a very smart business person as well. He's got the business mind. I think Portnoy, you know, he looks like and he acts like a dumb fuck, but you cannot argue with his success. I mean,
and he's gonna take whatever. I mean, you saw him think about it like with the Call Her Daddy thing when he was like, you can have the IP because I'm gonna get alcohol and you for another year.
Yeah.
He's at the end of the day, he's gonna take the fucking money back to money, just like we were talking about before. Money talks again, and he's smart enough to know where the money is.
He's all about the money right now. I think, you know, Dave has sort of like grown out of his role as content, and he's just become content. He's a content himself.
It's just amazing.
And I think, you know, maybe this whole deal, you know, with the casino thing, maybe that just got to his head because now he's worth like $100 million. But you know, but he's proven to know what to do to get the most out of his product. I mean, so
I love it all. I'm such a fan. I've been enjoying every minute of it. I've been enjoying every minute. I don't see any of this as critical. I mean, I was like, I mean, I'm kind of an Erica fan, and I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan.
Do your fucking podcast. Like, whoa. Yeah. Okay. Again, I'm a fan. I'm in. I love it all. I think it's amazing. It's electric content.
Yeah, I think I mean, you know, Kirk spoke about this too. He released like a 10-minute thing today.
I saw,
yeah,
and kind of just reval. I love Dave. It's great.
You know. But I think the one thing that he does say, and again, I don't think he's acting. I think this may or may not just come from like some of his like psychosis, right? This just might be part of the illness.
That's a piece of it.
Yeah, like he was saying, like him and a psychiatrist and his family have talked about this. He likes to burn things up. Yeah. And he sets things on fire.
And he said, I'm not going to, and he said, and I think he said on Saturday or whatever the last update, the other update was, I don't let things go. I have a heart. I can't let
and I actually think that's all progress because based on
even talking about it and identifying.
Well, it just makes first of all, what it does is in my mind, as a person who came from that industry, it makes me believe that he is current with his treatment and he's not missing that because that type of speech is therapist speech. Like, so it's coming from the relationship that sounds to me like it's going well and it's ongoing. Because I don't think he'd have the capability of bringing that about if, say, for example, he quit treatment like 6 months ago or 6 weeks ago. So that to me shows me that he's like in charge and in command of the things that are happening. Not to say that he doesn't also have some of these behaviors that it looks like he's trying to treat. But like EEI, man, he didn't light a grenade, man. He just that was like an atomic bomb. Like he just blew it up. And I think I was thinking he was going in that direction here because like I was wondering if he would be able to stop the momentum, you know, because it seems to me that once he kind of gets this ball rolling, and you know, Steve and Mike kowtow to him, like he is the fucking general, man. Everyone's listening. They're just soldiers.
And I think the stopping of the momentum is him reassuring us how he and Dave are cool, and he and KFC are cool, and he and Big Cat are cool because they're at the end of the day, those are the other owners, stockholders, other than the Chernin Group and now Penn and all that. Like they're the only other ones that have like some actual stake in the company, have been there forever. So I would imagine that's a good little extra like anchor into the conversation. Like, I'm fighting.
Yeah, but I don't think his personal.
It's just funny how that always keeps popping up.
Yeah, they both say it. You know, I think
Dave says it.
Dave says it. Dave says he loves him. Big Cat. Yeah, Big Cat, you do. And I think, and we all know. I think KFC loves him the most, but he's just doing for fucking around. So they all love him. Again, you know. So again, I think this is like two different things. I think, you know, Barstool's looking at this as like, you know, it's still fucking Corona, man, and we're still striving to kind of create content. And so, you know, getting the Minifans involved on the fucking internet and blowing shit up, and you know, and against the stool, like Minifans versus Stoolies, man. Like, I mean, that's a good fight. I mean, I would 1000% put my money on the Minifans every day of the century.
I just think there's a lot of Minifans that were Stoolies also, and they're not necessarily talking about it because they want to because they like Kirk more, and that's totally cool too.
Yeah, there's no one that's both anymore, though. I'm sorry, I don't think it happens.
They were. They don't.
Yeah,
want
that's true. You know? But once you're on this side, once you have a taste, and I don't want to call it like the dark side, it's like in your blood. Like I would do whatever. Like I'm already thinking because some of the Minifans, I think, what's his name? John Featherston? Is it John? Is he the political guy? Shit. I'm going to be fucking crazy for not knowing his name.
They're going to kick your ass.
No, shit. Now I'm going to look it up right
here.
Anyway, so the Minifans are doing
via Twitter after this.
The Minifans are doing an event at at Milton's.
Yeah, I saw that. I heard that. I was
On
seeing,
Sunday.
Yeah. Blind Mike's
And-
coming.
Yeah, so that was like a big support thing, and I'm already thinking like, so I've got my mom in town, I've got my kids, all three. I'm like, how am I going to make my way over there at some point?
You
in the
don't stand a
day?
chance of going over there.
You
this
don't
weekend,
think
fella.
so?
No way.
Oh,
Just like I don't stand a chance of going over there and fucking around. I'm going. I gotta go do what I gotta do too. Yeah. No way.
I'm gonna
Not
do it.
happening.
I'm gonna see
I'd love
someone.
you
I'm
to do
gonna.
it. I'd love it. And you need to like upload at least something to the feed.
I'm
or
gonna.
something.
I'm gonna make my way over to Milton's
You
on
should wear your
Sunday.
fucking fancy suit too.
Yeah, right.
From
My
your Milton
my wedding
profile,
suit.
from your Milton's picture. Yeah.
Fuck. Oh,
What are you looking for?
His name
Oh, John Featherston.
is it Featherston?
I don't know. I was just quoting you.
Yeah, all Paul. Yes. Fuck. Thank God.
We got it.
Sorry, John. I'm sorry. I knew your name was John Featherston. All politics local with John
You've
Featherston.
had a lot. There's been a lot. You've had a lot, and you've packed a lot into the last 3
It's
hours.
fucking a lot of
for what it's
names, man. A
worth.
lot of people. No, I'm a big fan of John though. So John, he is a funny and entertaining guy. So yes, I hope to be there on Sunday to hang out with you guys. If I could fucking make it work, I will. I'm gonna
Nice.
make it work. So I would. So I guess the point I'm trying to make is that once you kind of get a taste of Kirk, it's just like it's it just takes over your body. So
Oh yeah, no, I mean, believe me, it's been great. I mean, for me, it started for the last like between Mariah,
right.
Donald Trump Jr.,
The Lameleys.
Donald Trump Jr., all
Yeah.
of that chaos, and then all just going into all of this. The reporting down in Roxbury of that camp that nobody
No
is
idea what you're talking about.
So Kirk it was on the Turtle. It was from Turtle Boy
Oh,
Sports. and the
I'm so
stuff that
sorry.
Kirk's been that Kirk propped
What
up.
a
You know,
methadone
this was-
mile?
Yeah, this was 3
Oh.
weeks ago now. It's old.
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
completely
yeah,
old
yeah,
news,
yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
fucking still nobody
Yeah.
reporting that.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
And I have
Minifan taped that.
and I have business that I don't want to get into too many specifics, but I have business that really is impacted by that area.
Yeah.
And I have work in that area.
Yeah.
And I mean, it is totally something that I know very well about going on, and
Yeah.
nobody talking about it, and
Yeah.
all of this stuff going on very near to.
What the fuck's going on down there?
I mean, again, if you watch those videos, it's pretty
Yeah.
self-explanatory.
So
I
it's
mean,
like
at the
a
end-
fucking it's
so
like a
I-
graveyard.
and it's my
Dead
under-
people,
my understand-
zombies.
It's not even that. My understanding is, especially when it started getting real hot, like in this first couple weeks in May, we had a spike in the
Yeah.
heat. So what they did was they set up like porta potties and water stations, and basically said like, a refuge area
Mhm.
or a safe station, like place to, for anybody that was homeless. And obviously what happens is, there's a lot of, they're not just homeless shelters. You don't just brand it as homeless shelters. You've got a lot of churches and rec centers and community centers that
Mhm.
are taking people in
Mhm.
for hours at a time during the day for
Yeah.
the homeless population. And a
Or
lot of
people who
the-
are chronically mentally ill, or people who are whatever.
They're all homeless.
Yeah. Oh, I see.
You're talking about the symptoms of homeless people and the effects and what's happened and why
Yeah.
you're talking about why they're homeless, which
Yeah.
is another
Oh,
whole
okay.
fucking podcast and
Yeah.
another topic. Back to systemic problems. But what happens
Chronic
is all of
homelessness?
these
Systemic homelessness.
most folks are not. Most of the places that would accommodate this population, this demographic of people, are closed.
Mhm.
Most of the churches
Oh,
are
because
closed.
because of
Most the
Corona.
yeah, exactly. So what
Ah.
the city said was, okay, since where this actually is like based out of is a homeless shelter,
Mhm.
but the homeless shelter is closed, so they're in the fucking
Rosie's.
yes,
Yeah.
and they're in the parking lot of it.
Yeah.
They're in the parking lot of it. Yes.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So what's happening is, and I don't quite know exactly what the deal is with Pine Street.
Mhm.
I know it's at least at like low capacity,
Mhm.
if not close,
Mhm.
and every other fucking
Yeah.
facility
Yeah.
or program that
Yeah.
was taking people in by the masses at
Mm.
different times, because it's not just about like overnights at the homeless shelters too. It's like this church basement, you come for 2 hours and they do sandwiches
Mhm.
or soup
Yeah.
at from 12 to 2
Yeah.
or something like that. So like none of these things are happening.
Yeah.
So the city was like, okay, you guys can all go kind of hang out in this fucking
Right.
triangle of death, and we'll give you water and porta potties.
Yeah.
And then of course, because
Right.
we're saying go there, now we're like, oh, okay, we're not gonna arrest them for doing whatever
Yeah.
they need to do. And then as it gets hot, they're spilling out to the goddamn South Bay Mall up the
Yeah.
street. And I mean,
Huh.
it's an issue. It's
Yeah.
it's a
But it still hasn't hit the mainstream media, right? No one's reporting on it.
And again, I
You think
mean,
is that
this
like the
was
city just telling everyone
this
to
was
shut up?
this was a big root. This was like but this is what a lot of what Kirk was talking about and
Mhm.
pretty passionate about right before the Ellie stuff started
Mhm.
happening. What sent us into the
Yeah.
tailspin. This was some of the great reporting that he was
Yeah.
actually talking
Yeah,
about.
actually,
with-
I think this whole thing.
and
did start
Steve
before
was really Steve was doing a great job. Robinson was doing a
Yeah.
great job of like fucking Herald isn't on this because they're a shell. You know, they were saying like Herald's not on this because they're a shell of a company, but they used to be the conservative sort of you know call out newspaper that would talk about this sort of stuff and how it's affecting the community, not just helping these particular people, and how it's not being. It's basically helping these people gone awry because it's you tried to help them. And you gave them the first couple of steps to help them by setting the space up, but now you're not fucking taking care of it anymore. Now you've just kind of left them to get into trouble, and we're not doing anything about what's the
aside from like self
the ripple
harm
effect of this.
aside from like self harm and some health, maybe like issues that are going on within the camp. Are like they doing anything criminal outside of?
I mean, you're talking about, and again, this was all kind of reported by Turtle Boy and all that nonsense.
I
but
didn't see this.
What's
so
and
caught up in my own stupid shit.
and Kirk was talking about this too. Is you're
Yeah.
seeing like Steve also was talking about like you're basically seeing like open air drug deals happening like right on the streets, like pretty blatant, like swapping pills, swapping needles.
Yeah.
People fucking zombified laying all around,
Right.
stoned on the streets.
Yeah.
And then what you're also getting is you're getting a lot of folks panhandling and asking for money and freaking folks out as because they're spreading up into like the shopping areas and the South Bay Mall and that sort of area too. So yeah, I think it's just kind of an ugly scene and it's a bit uncomfortable, of course.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not saying that there isn't broader issues to all of this, but I mean, I don't know that that's the answer either. And then to just not even have, my problem is that just the fact that it's not being reported or talked about at all. We sort of set this up and then put over a canvas like netting and fencing,
Right.
and then
Like nothing to see here.
block them away. Yeah, like just block these
Nothing to
folks
see
away.
here.
And then
Right.
and then as it gets hot and they run out of water and shit gets even uglier and more
Yeah.
aggressive, like we're just like, that's cool. Don't worry.
Right.
It's ugly. It's ugly.
So we lost a legend today.
What do you got? Oh yeah. Big segment.
Yeah. Dr. Lester Greenspoon, who was like one of the initial people back in the 60s who started to change the attitude and the direction of the way that the medical community saw cannabis and marijuana.
Yeah. I mean, and Peter put up the obituary or a little bit of a eulogy, I guess, if you will, and some of the history of them all and everything. But yeah, I mean, not much to say other than seriously one of like the kind of the OGs of the knowledge and reform movement, I would say.
Yeah.
And it sounds like his son's doing a great job of kind of pushing the education base and pushing the science of it forward as best as he can.
Is that so? He's a trained psychiatrist, and then in the 60s, the whole medical industry, as you said, is sort of turned upside down. They hate the stuff. It's not meant for medicine. It's for people who want to get crazy. There's no basically benefit to using it, and he was one of those people that believed it. And then unfortunately, I think there was somewhat of a tragedy, and his son was diagnosed at a very young age with cancer. And he tells a story. I mean, if you look him up, if you just do a Google search on Lester Greenspoon, you'll see he speaks about this a lot. But his frame of mind and his perspective of cannabis changed when his son got ill with cancer and he had to go through chemotherapy. And I think a friend of his at some party or whatever introduced the idea that there was a patient somewhere like in Texas who was using cannabis to treat, who he had cancer, and he was using cannabis to treat some of the nausea and vomiting that he was experiencing, which, as a person who is in the pharmaceutical medication industry development, I worked in cancer, and I know that, the side effects, the serious adverse events to taking some of those chemotherapies is just crazy. Like it basically kills like every living cell in your body, not just cancer. Like it kills every replicating cell. So you get like mouth sores and like your internal like organs like eat away at each other, and it causes extreme nausea and vomiting. And I think, based on this personal recommendation, his wife, who he seems to believe is just like the best thing on earth, which is so sweet because he talks about her all the time, said that honey, basically, can you get some cannabis for our son? And Dr. Greenspoon was always like, no, it's illegal. We can't go get it for him. And also he was embarrassed if the physicians, because he's a physician himself, maybe he was embarrassed to tell his son's treating physicians that he was taking marijuana. So basically the mom went to their son's, grade school and bought marijuana off someone's friend. And it was like, we need it for his son. And he's like, of course. So they got the weed, the mom and the son. I think the son was smoking it in the parking lot, but the son had a great experience, which was unique to them as parents. Yeah. And then that sort of, I think, completely shifted his mind and his perspective on how powerful this stuff can be. And I think he started his whole career then doing research and looking into it. And then, and basically, you're right. He blazed the way. He wrote the first part of his research, which turned into a book, was called Marijuana Reconsidered. And then I guess 20 years later, he produced another one that basically was called Marijuana, the Forbidden Medicine. So, I mean, we're talking like 40, 50 years of activism to really
talking about something when nobody else agreed with you.
Yeah. I mean, that's the funny thing, is that because this is the underlying theme. I feel like when you look up anything around medical marijuana and research, it's been around for thousands of years, right?
Yeah.
And so they say, patients have been treated with this for thousands of years, and it's maybe been, the prohibition of marijuana has been going on in this country for like, I don't know, 50 or 60 or 70.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
and all of it was over like politics and money. Like, if you look, cool that he got a chance to see the revolution, right? Yeah. Like, he got to see such change that was in the last, even just like 10 years. Like, think about from the time he was 80 to 92. Think about what kind of change he saw. How many fucking states went medical and went rec in that time? Yeah.
Well, Stephen Mandilli had a special relationship with him, which is well documented.
Now, this I did not know anything. You were texting me this right before the show.
Yeah, there was a number of interviews that I was watching with Stephen before he came on our show. So I was, just doing a little bit of research and looking into what he's done in the past. And he spoke so well about, Dr. Greenspoon. And I believe when Stephen was able to purchase the first product in marijuana in the state, he took it to Dr. Greenspoon's house, and they like smoked a joint together when it first became legalized medically. And so, I was reading some of the heartfelt messages on Peter's
back and forth.
Yeah, there was just a lot of sweet things. And
that's great.
Yeah, so it's a big loss. Obviously, at 92, it's I mean, you never know your time is your time, but
I'd say 92 is a pretty solid number. I'll take 90. Personally, I'll take 92. So.
Yeah. So God bless him. And he pushed this industry in a direction
and all
that
the best to Peter, Dr. Greenspoon.
Yeah. So
second, or Dr. Greenspoon.
Peace and love. And we pray for healing for all your family.
You mentioned the cancer piece, and treatment and stuff like that. And I was just thinking about that. I'm actually, my next blog is going to be, it's not going to be smoke-based treatment blog. It's going to be a blog very focused on edibles, because I am currently treating kind of late 30s. Unfortunately, most of my patients. I don't have the most diverse patient demographic.
It's funny because like every time, because
it's always like late 30s.
So
early
Scott,
40s.
This is how it works. Scott sends me the blog. I take a summary of the blog, send it to my illustrator. The illustrator gets us back the graphic, and then I log into the mini blog
and load it
all up. And every time I'm doing that, sometimes I do a little bit of editing here and there.
You add a little color to things.
Yeah.
Sure.
I'm always like, it's like mid-30s. Yeah. I'm like, oh, we're
yeah,
which is totally fine and cool, but like
we did get an older
we
one.
got John.
He's one of my older patients. Yeah.
So
but another one, unfortunately, mid-30s, but worth mentioning and worth calling out. And again, we can, I think it's worth, if one of our segments should be, kind of discussing blogs here and there of the treatment stuff here in and out. But, this one is breast cancer. So not the most serious in the world, but pretty serious. Stage 2 breast cancer.
Sorry to hear
just
that.
going into, I mean, all positive outlook and all that sort of
Mhm.
stuff. But of course, going into the treatment, doing the chemo, has the port, the whole deal.
Yeah.
So pretty painful process. Need to be able to still be awake and be functioning. 2 kids, like 8 and 5, something to that degree. And husband at the house. Unfortunately, the husband, who's a great friend too, busted his. I think it's. I don't think it's a torn Achilles, but it was some kind of fucked up ligament in his foot. So he's on like a kind of like a casted up thing and on a scooter too. So
you're gonna prescribe edibles to her.
So Kanji bites all the way, brother.
Yeah.
Kanji bites all the way. We did the watermelon and the mixed berries for that crew.
And that's because smoking.
She's not a huge smoker to begin with.
Yeah.
I mean, she certainly will take a puff here and there at a party, I'm sure. I doubt she's taken a few as a mom over the last probably 9 or 10 years. It's probably been less and less as each year goes by, like typical mom who's approaching 40. But yeah, I mean, I think the edibles is the best way to go, just simply because less stress on the body. I mean, I'm sure you don't want to you're in a lot of pain to begin with. You don't want to be coughing or that convulsed feeling of taking a rip and making it too much, and all of a sudden you're in a coughing fit or something like that. So take a couple of those gummies. Should kind of take some of the pain away, at least a little bit, physical pain. Also, hopefully stimulates a little bit of appetite, right? That was the other thought. So went indica with one package and more sativa kind of leaning on the other package. So we'll get a write-up. I'll do a write-up on that one. It's kind of half done now. But yeah, with the sativa piece, you got to kind of hope she can have a few of those, and then a couple hours later she's hungry, maybe, right? Stimulated her appetite a little bit with that sativa. And then with the indica, hopefully that's like kind of, after the kids go down and you're still kind of in pain, you can't sleep. Hopefully that'll kind of knock you out a little bit. But
I love and appreciate those blogs. I think they come together pretty well. I think between the graphic and the knowledge, and it's a cool thing.
And I had such a wide base. Like I have some idiots that are just like idiot frat bros that are fucking around and having a good time. And then I have something that's a little bit more serious that we can take a pause for a minute and point out. But the one that just published, just to
Kathleen.
kind of double up real fast since we haven't caught up in a week. Kathleen, great one too. She's got a bunch of like it wasn't we just sort of summarized because the blog needs to be, I don't want it to be a fucking dissertation or we're dealing with again, I'm a big attention span guy, right? I want it to be a 2 minute, I want it to be a minute and a half.
It's not like our fucking hour and 15-minute podcast.
Not like the podcast that we do every night for fucking 2 hours every week. But yeah, no, Kathleen.
Although a lot of those people who are that you're describing really do love and appreciate it, because they honestly got to always tell us how stoned they get. They're like, oh man, I'm gonna get your show's on tonight. Awesome, I'm gonna fucking ripped.
And just
fucking sit there and listen to our podcast.
Then text us pictures of plants and weed at all times, and beer, of course. So.
Right.
But yeah, Kathleen, migraines, and I think also like there was some other mention. I've talked to her a couple of times in the past. I think it's like vertigo or something too. Like she's got a couple of things that are kind of fucking up the dome, and as a younger woman, she would just go home and kind of blast a few glasses of wine, and that's why I mentioned in the blog the wine piece. Like she'd just be she'd kind of like pound a bottle of wine over the course of a night, and kind of go away, and then she'd just kind of be tipsy and be okay, and it would be somewhat all right. But after 10-12 years of that, now you're in your mid-30s,
right? It's not the same feeling
you
anymore.
Come home after a long stressful day. She's actually a pretty successful gal. She's got this freaking crazy like IT kind of intelligence firm going on, like algorithm.
Smart.
Good stuff she's got some good stuff going on, and she get done 7-8 o'clock at night and her head's fucking pounding, and then she's got like a whole bunch of pharmaceuticals, and then they throw her into a tailspin. So going through the process with her and helping her get that process. And the other thing I wanted to mention with her is she's a real rule follower. I don't know, like that was just the other one thing that didn't really come out in the blog. I can't really like write that all out, but I just thought it was interesting. She was like kind of like she wasn't a dork because she was a partier and she's a cool chick, but she was like very insistent on like the rules. Like she didn't want to be buying street weed. Like, she had the stigma. I think there was like a big stigma, and I don't necessarily come across that. I don't know.
Now that
hoity-toity or what, but
I think I'm thinking about the blog, and I feel like we hit on it. Again, they're not really long, but I think we kind of told the story that like her husband has no problem just getting weed off the
Yes,
fucking
that's true.
friend.
Yeah.
And then, but she wanted to do it medically
I
because
guess just from my conversation, like I haven't talked to her in a couple of weeks, but in working with her, it was mentioned several times. Like,
yeah,
now it's
But
now that it's medical, I want to follow the rules.
yeah, well, that's remember, that's me. That's
you too, right?
That totally
Fair,
that's what turns me on. I don't have any interest in fucking meeting like my fucking father-in-law meeting the guy in the parking lot in the mall. Like,
And
I don't
10
wanna
years
do
ago,
that.
she was like, those fucking stoners and their idiot.
Totally.
Weed. Yeah.
But also at the same time, because like I'm because of my bad experience with flour, I wasn't gonna go buy flour. And then you hear about all the problems with all of the like the illicit vape cartridges. People were getting
ban, yeah.
like people, that's the vape ban was because of that. It wasn't because people were buying bad vape material from the actual like stores. It was because they were fucking buying stupid shit off the fucking black market that was hurting their lungs.
True.
And so for me, I'm not buying flour, not buying vapes because
Now
of
that
that.
you see that you have a regulated industry, you trust in that. Yeah, that's fair.
What was the main point?
I don't know. We were talking about my fucking blog last I remember. Pretty sure that's what I remember.
Oh shit. I have no idea what the fuck we were talking about.
I do have one more good segment for. I have one good how high just to indulge your old stupid how high segment, which I think is great. Although Duke always reminds us that we're at what? What are we at? The 1 hour mark? Where are we
We're
at?
at fucking 120.
Oh Jesus!
I know, and I'm not editing anymore. I'm tired of it.
All right. Well, we're not. Then we're gonna save how high for next week. Then.
All right.
We're gonna.
It makes sense.
We'll bait it.
We
It's a
should
good
end
one.
this.
It ends with. It has to do with. We'll tease it slightly. It has to do with not knowing that you're eating a birthday cake, and a lot of strangers involved that are unknowing that they're eating a birthday cake that is very, very laced with weed.
Okay.
How high? Super lemonade.
Super lemonade, motherfuckers. Cheers.
What is this?
Is it over?
We're running out of time.
I don't want to hear your excuses. No, it's not fair. Where'd all the finals go?